I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up the students and youth culture. Study finds more Gen Z women identifying as LGBTQ+, while young men show little change. A new study suggests that Gen Z women are increasingly moving away from exclusive heterosexuality and identifying as queer, while young men have shown little change over the past 15 years. Researchers from the Conversations Human Sexualities Research Lab analyzed responses from more than 10,000 public university students in New York State, collected between 2011 and 2026. The study examined sexual attraction, sexual behavior, and self-identification. According to the report, the findings do not refer to whether young women and men are changing in similar ways. Researchers added, quote, "In our analysis, this gender gap is not only about who claims an LGBTQ+ identity, it is also about the boundaries of heterosexuality and how they're changing," end quote. The findings show that the share of women reporting attraction beyond men rose from 22% in 2011 to nearly 50% in 2026. During the same period, the percentage identifying as something other than heterosexual increased from 18% to 44%. The report also references a 2023 Gallup poll, which reported that the share of Americans identifying as LGBTQ+ has more than doubled since 2012. Researchers found that the trend was broadly consistent across racial groups, while young men remained largely concentrated in exclusive heterosexuality, with little measurable change over the study period. Well, that's a fascinating study. Certainly I think women may be more likely to reveal their feelings. Now, you always want to look at surveys, though, and see, how they're done, who their focus group is. Having come from the greater New York metropolitan area, if that's where the survey was, I think there might be larger concentrations of people who are probably more highly educated, more open to exploring who they are, and maybe less restricted. What do you all think?
And I think that you've got to take into consideration also the political environment we're in.
Yes.
It is, women aren't as attacked or under as much attack as say, the LGBT male portion of our community.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of pressure to stay in the closet or to just remain, to fit in. Women have always been closer and more, as women, just not making an assumption about all women, but are much more touchy-feely and more emotional. So it's easy for them to just hang with a girlfriend and have a great day and be considered, well, I'm open to LGBT. I'm open to being, more close to another woman than I think men, it's more still that butcher coming out of the football and it's like, hey man, it's like that slap on the ass, but it's all cool. And I think that's playing a role in it. And it hasn't made it easier over the last last decade with the president sort of pushing against LGBTQ and making it harder. I also think that in the New York market, I would think it'd be much more liberal. Again, going back to educated and not to say people in the Midwest don't have the same opportunities, but I think it's once you've had more life experience and you live in a bigger city, you're exposed to more things, where if you're living in smaller farm towns and stuff, it's just not there. It's not in your face. So the chances of coming out or sharing and the thought of being ostracized by your community is scarier when you're in a smaller town.
Mm-hmm. Toxic masculinity says that, a woman can have a fling with another woman and it doesn't mean anything about her. She was going through a quote unquote phase. If a guy has a fling with another guy, unless he keeps it a complete secret, he is forever labeled as a gay guy. So there's a certain level of fluidity built into the culture of men and women. Also, the object of gaze gaze, G-A-Z-E, the object of what straight men look at are usually pornography featuring 2 to 3 women or a woman solo. So for a girl or a woman, hopefully of age, nothing underage, but if a straight male is looking at pornography featuring 2 women, it kind of creates an incentive structure for women to maybe fool around with other women because they're trying to entice heterosexual men. Number one, that could be one reading of it, and it's not the most charitable reading of it. And also, I think that women are less socially stigmatized for going through different, I don't want to say that being a lesbian or being gay is a phase, but I think that there's more wiggle room for women in the cultural sexual space for them to find out who they are than for male adherence to our political culture, so it's not surprising that 15% of whatever it was that, 15, it hasn't changed for men, basically. And I think that that's very telling, that it's opening up more and more for the ladies and not so much for the gentlemen. And I would have said that patriarchy hurts women, but I was listening to some really good discourse that says patriarchy really hurts men because it's rich, wealthy, powerful men sending less rich, less powerful, less wealthy, less connected, plugged in men to do the bidding of the communities that they live in. Take the military, for instance. Take, any job that people don't want to do. That's the patriarchy at work. So it hurts women, but it also hurts men at the same time. And I think that this is an outgrowth that men don't feel comfortable being able to explore different parts of their sexuality without being labeled for the rest of their life that they are a gay person.
I think that's the biggest thing, is being labeled for the rest of the life.
Yeah.
And you look at some of the things out there that are trending where they talk about, some of the most homophobic right-wing men, maybe who protest too much. That's their mechanism for really fighting the feelings they have. And it's almost a blind rage or action that comes out of it. And,
you see that in a lot of movies, like even like the show Heartstopper. The people that were pushing the hardest against it were the ones that were actually not misusing, but like torturing the guy who's openly gay, and turns out in the whole time that he actually had a crush on him.
Yeah. Well, it's like the thing with the GOP conventions where Grindr and all the other blows up. And I mean, that's very telling. And you wonder, when some of these men who say that they identify 100% as heterosexual, in reality, they can't even answer a survey that's confidential because it's so ingrained that, they're a man and this is what men do.
And you, having been an actor, I'm sure tap dancing is part of your routine. So when you're at an airport and you're just practicing in the stall by yourself,
it annoys the hell out of people.
Larry Craig had a wide stance. He had a wide stance. I do not believe he was doing anything nefarious.
He was misunderstood.
He was misunderstood, and he was
frustrated tap dancer.
He was just trying to help out his stallmate next to him, and they
confused him.
It confused me. So I just, it's a wild world we're living in. As the kids say, they be wilding out there. And I think that,
kids are saying they'd be wilding
out there.
Wilding.
But the D is a little softer. Wilding.
See.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk about this forever, I'm sure.
We could.
He
needs a lot of help learning.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We'll catch up. We'll catch him up. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.